The Oscars is just around the corner, so I wanted to rank the Best Picture nominees from worst to best. This is strictly my opinion, yours might be completely different, and that's okay. Let me know down below what your ranking is, and let's just dive into it. You all saw this coming. Emilia Perez is the most nominated film of the year, of which just leaves a sour taste in my mouth. As a film about trans identity, it doesn't understand a single thing about it, and ends up coming across as morally bankrupt. Is this what Jacques Audiard thinks the trans experience is like? Really? His direction is showy on purpose, it's so evident to see why when you see it. It's to get an Oscar, which again just comes across as performative for the sake of it. It doesn't even work as a musical. Every musical sequence is edited in this weird way which gave me a migraine. It's awful. Definitely the worst of the nominees this year and maybe of the entire year. My words here don't even scratch the surface. Awful, awful movie. As you know, I like Wicked a lot. Pretty, the performances are committed, every set detail is mind-blowing, so you probably are asking why is it second to last? It's because I have no desire to rewatch it. One of those films that was excellent in the moment but will probably be tainted by a rewatch in a home setting. It's a theatre movie basically. As I said in my review for it, I felt extremely connected to it. The music has been on repeat in my mind ever since I left it, and that's just a testament to how wonderful the story really is. Will I rewatch it eventually? Probably, but if I could say I would rewatch it soon, it would be higher up, but for now I will confidently say that I think it's an excellent musical with an aura that is meant for the big screen. Good movie. A Complete Unknown is the obligatory biopic to get a Best Picture nomination this year, and boy is it worth it. I'm fresh off a rewatch, so this is still in my mind. Some scenes have stayed in my mind since I saw it for the first time. The most important thing to know about A Complete Unknown is that it's not about a life per se, but rather the segments that separate art from the life itself. Dylan's music changed over time, and so did he. Something this film shows in pretty excellent detail. Timothée Chalamet is obviously my pick for Best Actor. There's one scene in particular where he performed a song, and you just see his reaction. Man, it's priceless. If you can't already tell, A Complete Unknown is probably my favourite musical biopic, as it leaves time for both the artist and the music that got them to where they are in the first place. I will go back to this thing time and time again. Conclave is the frontrunner for the award as of now, and while I prefer other films on this list, Conclave would be a dope win. Conclave uses a political background to paint a picture of decision making without ever letting go of the decision itself. Some of the choices Lawrence is asked to make are painful, which is seen in Fiennes' excellent performance. Even the edit works in ways I thought it wouldn't. It's literally a film about popes, and the edit decides to make 2 hours feel like 1. It keeps you on your toes every step of the way and doesn't give away any information when it has to. Not the most subtle of the nominees in terms of what it's saying, but damn is it powerful. If this won the award, that would be pretty awesome, not gonna lie. The Substance is one of the most talked about films of the year. I've mentioned it so many times in videos, it's almost as funny as the film itself. This being nominated for Best Picture is a breathtaking task, as horror is a genre that gets unrecognized every year, so this is a step in the right direction. And what a choice they made. What The Substance says about beauty standards is pretty substantial, no pun intended, as it breaks down those walls to make the snappiest thing possible with themes as heavy as this. Demi Moore is obviously incredibly committed. The makeup she has to wear is worth the time on its own. The production design too just screams at you in the best way. There's a Lost Highway reference that hit hard. Yep, very hard. There's not a lot of films like this, ones that have something powerful to say about something we already know, so it's wonderful to see something as batshit crazy as this make it through. Dune Part 2 is everything a blockbuster should be. This is the most rewatched film on the list. I've seen it more times than anything else I saw in 2024, and for a good reason. It's not often that films like this challenge the viewer's perception of what film should be. Dune Part 2 almost took me back to the early days of Lord of the Rings, and even films like Glory, ones that worked on a large scale. Denis is someone who understands what films should be, and it's clear to see when you watch this. Everything works, not a single thing falls flat in my eyes. Paul's journey is one of dread and suffering, but it's also one of villainy and rebellion. Denis puts that to screen in ways I don't think anyone else could do. He's just too good at what he does. His way of shooting on location, directing sets, even down to how his films flow narratively, are unlike anyone else working today. Dune Part 2 being the best example. This film will never leave my mind. The final sequence alone is imprinted in my brain for life. A perfect film, through and through. Nickel Boys was one of the last films I had to see before making this video. Trust me when I say it was hard to find it. I finally found it, and man, I wish I saw it sooner. Nickel Boys is one of those films that is too special to miss. A story of segregation and racism that's sprinkled with a visual flair unlike any other. Shooting in a POV perspective could come across as a gimmick, but when the so-called gimmick is applied in a constructive and even performative way, it becomes almost human. What Ramel Ross says about Colson Whitehead's words left me in a flood of tears by the end. The vulnerability is unmatched by anything this year. It's almost hard to talk about without welling up. This world is cruel. Its injustice against certain groups of people are even more cruel, but Nickel Boys is not about the cruelty, but more about hope. Elwood and Turner want to live a life of legacy, love, freedom, worth, and Ramel Ross hits the nail on the head with such precision. A gorgeous tale that will become a modern classic for me, and hopefully everyone else. The Brutalist is the largest film of the year, clocking in at 3.5 hours. A gargantuan task, I might add. And while it may seem difficult to digest, Brady Corbet does a wonderful job of making a life story seem so digestible. Laszlo's troubles end up becoming our own. Ejibet's lack of understanding is also ours. Harrison's anger is also ours. Corbet's fast-forward script gives us time to digest these issues and puts them on the viewer in a painful and almost psychotic way. Adrien Brody gives possibly the performance of the decade as he embodies the American dream with such pain and suffering. The Brutalist is a film about the immigrant experience, with hints of how art can spawn from the darkest places within ourselves. Corbet living the American dream through Laszlo is something inspiring, as he too has struggled to make a name for himself in America. A sprawling feat of filmmaking that shatters my heart into pieces the more I think about it. Anora is Sean Baker's magnum opus in my opinion. Straight out the bat. Anora is one of those films that can be seen in any setting. You can be on a plane, train, whatever, and it will work all the same. As a performance that revolves around physicality, Mikey Madison gives one of the best performances of the year. Her tenacity and comedic chops come out in full force here. The thing about Anora that works the most for me is how it does a bait and switch. The first half being a romance film and the second half becoming a tense thriller with a comedic edge. Baker plays with all these tones to make a film so pure of heart and so bittersweet. You already know how I feel about it. I've spoken about it to death already. Endlessly rewatchable and a boatload of fun. Probably the easiest film on this list to recommend. I'm Still Here was the last film of the nominees I needed to see. But that doesn't mean I wasn't expecting anything bad, I just couldn't find it in time. I'm Still Here, out of all of the films here, hit me the most. It broke me. The vulnerability that Fernanda Torres shows hurt me so damn much. She is easily my pick for Best Actress this year. If you're all wondering what hurt me so much, I will not spoil. The whole effectiveness of the film relies in not knowing what you are in for, but I will say that it revolves around family, something close to my heart personally. It's a film about familial bonds, how we as people can be stuck together like glue in the hardest times of our lives. All told through the perspective of a mother struggling to cope with certain situations. All of the home footage shot in Super 8 film stock left me speechless. Me talking about it just doesn't do it justice. Look, I'm Still Here is the toughest film on this list to get through, but I mean that as a compliment. Its power is in its silence. The banality of its subject is what makes it a whole lot stronger. We all want to keep our loved ones forever, and I'm Still Here feels like a loved one to me. I will hold it close to my heart for as long as I live, and it is my pick for Best Picture of this year. And you know what? That's all I gotta say. This Oscar season has been so exhausting, I can't wait for it to end. Thank you guys for watching this video. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, and tell me down below what your ranking is, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace.